JM is calling us out on the Mississippi Ag John Deere tractor text line 601 885-3776. And he says, you guys are comical. Y'all had Mac as a third-tier SEC QB last year and KJ is the best, and now all reports are Kyle Shanahan is taking Mac, and you don't even think he's a first-rounder. Get ready to wipe the egg off your face if he goes third to the 49ers, LOL. JM just called us out and LOL'd us all at 7:30 in the morning. I don't know, man. Should we take JM to Roosevelt's? Buy him some wings or a cheeseburger?
I'll just send him
with
there
the perfect lettuce and tomato.
I'll send him there with a gift card.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going.
You're not going?
Nah.
Okay.
I don't have time for JM.
What hat are you wearing tomorrow? Hold on. I can't see what that is. What in the world have you got going on?
It's a Dallas. It's a 1996 Dallas Cowboys Looney Tunes collab hat.
That
so
thing
in the
is
90s,
ridiculous.
In the 90s, Looney Tunes, which was massive.
You were 4, so you loved it, right?
Came out, yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
You remember? I don't know if you remember this because you wouldn't have had kids at the time to go into it. But the mall had the Looney Tunes.
No, if I'd had kids in '96, that'd have been a bad deal.
Yeah, for you and the kids.
Right.
Do you remember the mall in Jackson, North Park had the Looney Tunes store?
I do remember
that.
Yeah,
it was as a child. That place
I can't
was
imagine. I'm
magical.
sure you were. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, in the '90s, Looney Tunes came out with an NFL collab, and so they did all these like hats and shirts and stuff like that. And so this is a Dallas Cowboys Tasmanian Devil collaboration hat, and it says it's blue and gray, and it says "My ball, my rules," and it has the Tasmanian Devil with the football like squished in his hand, and it has Dallas Cowboys logo.
I got
and
you.
stuff.
It's a fun hat, like the story.
Yeah.
It's not done well because you can't read it.
No.
And what we call in the business is there's too much stuff. It's what everybody wants to do, and
It's the 90s on a hat.
It's the 90s on a hat. There's way too much going on.
Yeah, it's 100% like a graphic hat for sure.
But the story behind the hat is fun.
Yeah. So my girlfriend bought it for me for my birthday last summer.
No, she didn't.
Yeah. You can buy there's all these different because of the internet and social media.
Are you sure it was your girlfriend?
Yeah.
It wasn't the girl that you met on that bachelor party?
You relax now.
Okay.
There are all these different ways to buy cool gear that you never would have found anywhere. Now people collect it where they are, and then they turn around and sell it online, so you can get it anywhere. It's really cool. So yeah, she found this interesting Cowboys hat.
I got to up my merch game.
Yeah, I'm wearing
a Four Roses bourbon shirt today.
That's true.
So anyway,
proud of you. If you put that y'all lifestyle blue hat on, you'd be sporting the Rebs.
I would.
Little red and blue.
Because this red Four Roses bourbon shirt.
That's right. And then Fred could call you a clown boy.
He would call me a clown boy.
He called you out yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah, on Twitter.
What happened?
I don't know. He said you were being too nice to Ole Miss and too mean
we had
to
David
Mississippi
Johnson
State.
on.
Yeah, but he said it during Steve's interview.
Interesting.
I know.
I don't know. Fred,
you could be like, great win for Mississippi State, and Fred would be like, stop loving Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Clown boy.
It's like I can't say enough how much I like Mike Leach and Will Rogers. Yeah. But if I say I like Matt Corral too, then I'm a rebel clown boy.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bow tie wearing skinny jean guy. That's what he says.
Wearing skinny jean guy.
Fred's incredible, man. That guy cracks me up.
He's awesome. I haven't worn a bow tie in years, but Dak Prescott wears one.
Yeah.
A good bit.
That's right.
He kind of brought that party back, if you will.
He's going to bring another party back to Dallas.
What is that?
In the second weekend of February.
Oh, I think that's not unless Jerry Jones does something else.
Come on now.
Let's get John Cohen on. John Cohen will join us. The Out of Bounds Show brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue. The official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. The show is also brought to you by award-winning Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. And we'll be there next Monday after the Masters. Looking forward to that. The Masters starts in a couple of days, and that'll be a ton of fun. And we'll be live from Roosevelt's and Live Oaks on Thursday for the first round of the Masters at Augusta National. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We welcome in Athletic Director John Cohen. John joins us on the Modelo guest line. John, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, Bo. How you doing this morning?
Man, we are doing great. The college baseball community freaked out yesterday over a couple of tweets sent out by Kendall Rogers. And I'd like for you to give us a little context on this. How will the process work as far as you know right now? How will the process work as far as choosing a regional and super regional sites for the 2021 season this year?
Well, I think inevitably, it's going to come down to the decision of our committee chair, Jeff Altier from Stetson University. He's a great baseball guy and a great leader in the NCAA. I am on the committee, and I'm just kind of interpreting what I've read. We have not met. But I think the NCAA is doing what they've done with all their championships, Bo. What they're trying to do is make sure that all the testing is available for the student athletes. They're trying to make it as safe an environment as they possibly can. And in order to do that, things have to happen a little bit earlier than they have in the past. So I don't think it's a rapid departure in any way, Bo. A huge departure from what has been done in the past. I just think it's going to happen earlier, which, is an interesting dynamic because, as we all know, in college athletics, and especially in baseball, things can change over a 2-week, 3-week period pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, interesting. All right. So a little bit different deal. They want to make a decision earlier in the process than normal because of COVID protocols, right?
Pretty much. I think that's the gist of it. And, I think, obviously things are going to happen a little bit earlier, but I also think that this is probably the safest way to go. Okay. And, I guess I'm just thankful that we're going to have a 64-team tournament, and I'm thankful that that we're not in a situation like we were last year. And I know that the NCAA and our committee and everyone else is just trying to make this as safe an environment as possible for the student athletes.
All right. John Cohen on the Out of Bounds show in the Modelo guest line. You're listening to 105.9 The Zone ESPN. John, this past weekend, MSU baseball swept Kentucky. And I think Kentucky has a pretty good club. And anytime you sweep in this league, regardless of who it is, it's a big deal. What was your one big takeaway from the weekend for Mississippi State baseball?
Well, I think it's really positive from the standpoint of, we made a ton of mistakes, and we were still able to sweep a really good Kentucky team who was ranked in one of the polls. Kentucky, like the rest of the league, they have some very young components because of the fact that they had a lot of kids who weren't able to play SEC baseball a year ago. So, the right-hander stuff they threw at Mississippi State is as good a right-handed pitcher as we will see all year long. Not from a stuff standpoint, but he really located it, sank the baseball. His numbers are outstanding. He's going to give him a chance every Friday night. But again, we can play better. I know Chris said that, this is not the best baseball Mississippi State's going to play this year, but I think there's some strength there when you say you didn't play very well, but you were able to sweep a pretty darn good club in the SEC.
How difficult – you can pass on these questions, obviously, if you want, but how difficult is it, as someone who coached at a high level at Kentucky and Mississippi State, when you sit down with a veteran who's started a ton of games but is struggling, how difficult is it to sit him down and ask him to watch for a game or two?
Well, I felt this way as a player, and I felt this way as a coach in the Southeastern Conference, especially at Mississippi State. I think the kids really put a tremendous amount of pressure on themselves, Bo. I mean, they want to do it for the fans. That's what makes our program so special. And, you can walk to the plate and say, well, I'm going to solve this little, slump I'm in by hitting a 12-run home run. And it's not going to happen. And in fact, it's going to make it even more difficult for you, because anytime you go to effort in baseball, the baseball gods above will say, okay, you're done. I'm gonna punish you, because baseball needs to be played in an effortless, easy, reactionary type of way, especially the offensive part of it. And it's the same way on the mound. So there has to be relaxation. Let's face it, when we're hitting a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, you got 0.38 seconds. If you put a lot of pressure on yourself and you go up to a muscle-up type of swing, you're just not going to get it there. And really, it's the same way defensively. Your reaction time isn't, there's not a lot of time there either. So I think the biggest thing when you're having those conversations, you got to convince a kid to try and relax. It's kind of like your dad when you're a little kid, at least mine used to say, he'd scream at me, "Relax." What kind of, that's not going to get it done either. But I mean, I think we've had some older kids in our baseball program who put a ton of pressure on themselves and work very, very hard, and they want the results right now. It's a long season. You got to be patient. You got to let it happen.
In the book Moneyball, Billy Beane was hilarious talking about Lenny Dykstra when he lived with him when they were playing for the Jackson Mets. He said Dykstra could go 0 for 4. It wouldn't faze him. He'd wake up the next morning thinking that he was going to go 3 for 4, 4 for 4 the next night. He said, I would go 0 for 4 one night and think that I'll never get a hit again.
Well, when you talk about somebody like Lenny Dykstra, he was one of those players, Bo, who could get to first base a whole lot of different ways. There was some power there. He was an excellent bunter. He was an excellent short game guy. He could hit the 3-hop ground ball to the left side, beat it out. So if you're Lenny Dykstra, you're going to have a lot of confidence that you can get to first base and get hits, good hits, cheap hits, whatever. I think there are some hitters that are a little bit penalized. Maybe they don't run as well, and it's very difficult for them to get to first base. They can only get there one type of way. So, I think those types of players, too, since there's been such a premium put on power at all levels of baseball, they're starting to kind of drift away, the Lenny Dykstras of the world. You wonder if he was coming up today, would they try and just make him a power guy?
Right.
And you'd lose a lot of batting average, a lot of on-base percentage, and quite frankly, a lot of winning baseball when you lose those guys.
What do you make of Brayland Skinner? Is he a late bloomer? He brings a lot to the table for Chris Lemonis, both at the plate and running the bases. What do you see right now in Brayland Skinner?
I tell you what I see right now is somebody who I wish everybody can see. This is one of my favorite things about this kid. He practices so hard every day, especially in the outfield. When he's doing his work, he's a very gifted defender, and of course his feet really lead the way for him defensively and offensively, and he's going to be a great player. Now, Bo, I think he has, 4 SEC starts, and it just doesn't matter what other amateur baseball you played prior to that moment. SEC starts are different. I want to see the Brayland Skinner after he has had, 30, 40, 50 SEC starts, because I think he's going to be a really special player. He's one of those kids, and I don't know him great, but he just always seems to have a smile on his face. I've been told he's a great teammate, and again, he just works so hard in practice. Those are the kids you just want to have great success. And boy, he's got some raw tools that can end up making him a big time player.
And as far as upside and potential, what do you see in Cam James?
Yeah, a guy, when you're convinced that he's young and he can't stay on a breaking ball, all of a sudden he gets one about 400 to the pull side. He's a really skilled player. I do think that Chris absolutely did the right thing by moving him to third base. I think he really calmed down and started relaxing as an offensive player. I will say, I think third base is the most difficult infield position to play in the Southeastern Conference for a variety of reasons, because every lip is different. It's the farthest throw on the infield. It's the bunt play that you have to make, and it just seems like it's always crucial. He's such a high-level athlete, and I just love the way he has kind of calmed down and relaxed. But again, a young man, start counting how many SEC starts he's had, not many. And I think when he gets in the groove and he gets to play a lot of SEC baseball games, you're going to see, a really, really talented prospect.
John Cohen on the Modelo guest line talking Mississippi State athletics. What do you see in Fristoe as a freshman taking the ball on Sunday, and how crucial those Sundays are in the league, and how he is performing to date?
Yeah, just incredible. Because here's a guy who hasn't pitched at all in the Southeastern Conference or Division I baseball. And you start looking at the starts he's had and how he's performed, it's remarkable. He is pitching at a high SEC level as a freshman. And I would tell you, the only start he has had, Bo, I think he had maybe one start against Eastern Michigan that wasn't very good. The rest have been very high-level starts. So I'm really impressed with this young man. His athleticism, his ability to repeat his delivery, the stuff, the velocity. His changeup is really, really accelerated for somebody his age. What an incredible future he had. He could be another one of those guys who could be a high draft pick as a junior someday.
What about Logan Tanner at catcher and his defense? And did you see him throw someone out from his knees over the weekend?
Yeah. I've been doing this a long time. I mean, I've been around the game for a long time. Not sure I've ever seen a better arm in college than Logan Tanner. And in fact, I've had a couple of scouts who have been longtime friends of mine who just say they grade him out as the best thrower they've ever seen in amateur baseball.
Wow.
It's remarkable. And I mean, it is some guys have great arms on certain days and then they have to recover. His arm just plays every single day. He's got really big time power. He's such a positive influence. And the one thing that I thought he would struggle with early on would be the receiving, because we have so many different arms, Bo, so many different arm slots, so many different types of breaking balls. And when you're catching that many guys, I mean, on the last game on Saturday against Kentucky, I think he catches 5 completely different guys and handles them all really well, leads those guys, blocks everything up, receives everything well. Start counting how many SEC starts he has, not many. And he already looks like a seasoned veteran.
John Cohen on the Out of Bounds show and the Modelo guest line. John, let's talk a little bit about leadership in locker room. I don't know who your guy was in 2013. May have been Adam Frazier, among others. 2016, I think 2015 or 16 with Rooker and some other guys on that team. But Landon Sims, things are kind of falling apart on Thursday. He's on the mound. They drop a pop-up. He tells everybody to chill out, comes back, makes a play. A ball is hit sharply to him, turns around, could have thrown it in the outfield, and makes that play. Walk me through kind of him keeping his poise at a time when, as you said, there's a lot of young pieces in college baseball, and there's some young pieces on that Mississippi State team right now.
Well, first of all, I think one of the things that rarely gets talked about is this. At our level, we get the kid when he's 18, 19 years old. That means somebody had to raise him and put him in an environment where they had to prepare him for what's next. So it's already part of his DNA when he comes to Mississippi State. His coaches or administrators or anything, we'd love to claim a lot of things about these kids. And I've heard Chris say this a million times. That's in his DNA. He's a leader, and he's a guy who's not going to panic. And he's somebody who wants to compete. I was teasing somebody when I was watching the game the other day. We have a lot of what I call mid-major linebacker pitchers, meaning they have to make really good decisions. They have to see the game the right way, and they have a certain body type. He's one of those guys. I mean, he is a bulldog. He's a linebacker, and he just has the ability to slow the game down in his mind, but at the same time, really compete at a high level. And you can just tell every time that kid comes into the game, our defense, our bench, every part of our program says we're going to win when that guy's on the mound. And it's turned out that way a lot of times.
John Cohen on the Out of Bounds show. John, let's switch gears real quick to football. There's 6 or so practices in, maybe more by now. I ran into a few people inside the program. Seems to be a lot of optimism over the weekend. What are you hearing, or what have you seen as far as going to practice?
Well, when I go to practice, I play the what-if game. But what if we'd have gotten all these practices in a year ago? And I know everybody has the same story. But Mike is such a detail-oriented coach. And, when you watch Coach Leach's team, go through this process. The practices are hard. They move fast. The kids enjoy them. The coaching staff really gets after it. When I watch them practice, as a former coach, I go to sleep at night and I think, man, we got a lot done today. Now we controlled the controllables today. Don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I know that our football team's getting better every single time they go out there. And, from an offensive standpoint, we have some kids a year ago who were forced into action who really didn't completely, get their arms around the offense. And now that's really starting to happen. I'm just so pleased with where we are. And I can't wait to watch this group compete next fall.
How are season ticket? Well, I don't even know if that's been. How are season ticket sales going or trending?
Yeah, we're still working through that a little bit as well, but I'm really excited about that opportunity too. Bo, as you well know, when you come out of a year where you're 25%, and you got a chance potentially, we're hoping that we can get that thing full next fall. I just, with all the cowbells going and the great atmosphere we have at our football games, I'm just really looking forward to that. And I'm very confident that our football season ticket sales are going to be at a very high level because, there are a lot of people that didn't get to see Coach Leach and his team play in person last year. I know they want to, and quite frankly, it's going to be a different team from the standpoint of they went through a fall and a spring workout period and a summer workout period as well. So we're really excited about this opportunity for our fans and for our football program.
John Cohen on the Out of Bounds Show. John, we appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Bob.
John Cohen, Athletic Director, MSU. He joined us on the Modelo guest line. So, Blake, they'll make the decision a little earlier as far as baseball postseason play because of COVID protocols. So that's where we are. They're just going to move that up, make sure that everybody, whoever does get awarded the site, the regionals, can handle the COVID protocols and COVID testing.
You would think that bodes better for the bigger schools and the bigger conferences because they'll have more resources than maybe like a smaller school with less space.
I think you're right. So, yeah, there you go. I think submitting the bid maybe by April 12th.
I think that's correct.
And then they'll know more in early May as far as site selections for postseason in college baseball.
Not a big deal around here, huh?
No. Mississippi State and Ole Miss fans are not on the edge of their seat on that one or anything, along with our college towns, which I hope happens. And we have packed towns of people spending money and having a good time in Oxford and Start Vegas. We did lead the show with this. Tim Elko was rounding first base last night. His knee buckled. They may already know. We should know more today. He is a phenomenal baseball player and a big piece of the puzzle for the Ole Miss Rebels. Is going to be a high draft pick in Major League Baseball. It stinks that he lost 40 games last year to COVID, and it looks like he could lose another 30 or so games because of an injury. More, hour number 2. Detillier at 8:30 today.